Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's in My Head podcast. Today, I'm joined by the great scribe Al Ewing himself. Al, how are you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm pretty decent. Things ups and downs, some downs recently, but yeah, no, comics wise things are great.
As far as on the downs, man, are you on the upward trend? You doing better?
Yeah, I think things are improving. I've sort of said on my Tumblr that like there's been like personal stuff, but it's I keep the personal.
Yeah,
So I'm very, very vague about like, but yeah, things were bad and are bad, but are getting better. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there in that same situation right now. So
yeah, 100%,
and
man.
if you're in the opposite, where things are getting worse for you, then I'm really sorry and I feel for
Yeah,
you.
it's
Because yeah, they're but for the grace of God, as they say.
yeah, it's definitely a trying time for a lot of people, man. I'm glad you're on the mend,
Yeah.
dude. So, getting it back to you, man.
Yeah, sure.
I gotta say, I was off Hulk forever. I've never been a Hulk fan specifically. He is in the same vein for me as Superman, right? He's an all-powerful character, right? What does he do? He gets
Yeah.
angry, he gets stronger. It was that style of book. I liked my book. I liked my characters, excuse me, with a little bit of character development. And that's not to say and take anything away from any writer. I enjoyed Mark Waid's run. I liked his run. But when I got yours, I was about 2 years into the run, and my guy Sam at the comic book store, he's like, "Hey, you got to check this book out." And he shows it to me, and I'm like, "I'm not fucking reading the Hulk book, dude." I was like, "You guys have sold me on this thing before, and I'm not doing it. I can't do it anymore. I can't do Superman. I can't do Hulk. It's not fun." And he's like, "Shut up. Buy this book. Buy the trade." He gave me the trade at that point. I think the trade was like $9.99 or some shit like that. He was like, "It's fucking $10." He was like, "I tell you what, if you do not like this, you can kick me in the nuts the next time you come in." I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." So I bought the book. I was
Man,
not
that's
expecting.
that's salesmanship.
That's a
I
kick in the
feel
nuts
like
guarantee.
I owe this guy, a personal thank you that he was willing to take a kick in the balls for my work.
Yeah, I mean, it's like ever since then, because I always gave that. I don't want to say I always gave that guarantee, but there's certain writers and certain
Yeah,
story arcs that I would go like, you know what? I'll put a kick in the nuts guarantee on this one. Scott Snyder is one of them. You were the other one. And there's a few
oh,
other
appreciate
writers that I don't want to bring up because we could go off on some real weird tangents, I'm sure. But speaking just specifically on Mortal Hulk, dude, I was fucking blown away. As soon as I got off or got home and read the first trade, I was like, give me every single trade that they have, because I think I had to buy up to like trade 7, I think, or 6, whatever it was at that time.
it. Yeah,
I was like, give me all of them. So the next day I come back in and my stack box is just full of fucking Immortal Hulks, and I burned through them in the first week. Um, your take on this, and I don't want to speak out of turn, or this is just how I assume it, and I have
yeah.
horrible ways of articulating that, but it's like a horror movie, like old school horror movie is what I took from it. I mean, what was your
That
initial concept for the Immortal Hulk?
that was the intention. I mean, the the blow by blow of how it came to be was I mean, I was in the room when they killed Bruce
Yeah,
Banner. And that was a great idea because Civil War II needed a moment. It needed something that would, I don't know. We were putting the bones on it, and it needed, we were putting it together, and it needed something um at that moment. And yeah, Bruce, basically like Brian comes back from lunch, and it's like, yeah, we're going to kill Bruce Banner, and he walks us through it, and it's like, shit, that sounds great.
yeah,
That sounds like a hell of a moment. And then and I was perfectly fine with Bruce Banner being dead for a while.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, none of us are like it's forever, but I was looking forward to like, oh man, and there's going to be a new Hulk, and that's really exciting to me because it's like, okay, some energy, and I mean, Joe had a great run, but it was like there's this thing ever since they killed Thor, and I feel like that was in like the noughties, but like ever since then, there's been a thing where a character lays fallow, for want of a better word.
Mm.
In that, you sort of, because they took Thor away from him. And I think that was just, okay, well, we've done Ragnarok with it. Anybody got a Thor book? No, okay. I wasn't there. I wasn't even, I don't think I was even, I don't know, I might have been writing for 2008 at that time, but this was a while ago, that Thor Ragnarok story. Like long before JMS. And then JMS comes along and says, right, I've got a Thor #1, and here it is. And everybody goes crazy. Everybody is like, oh my God, are you reading this? Oh my God, Thor's back. Thor. And it's like, when was the last time people were this excited about Thor? And then, like, I feel like the next one was Cap. And that was more of, and it's never by design. It's always like the stories people want to tell. But, like, Steve Rogers comes back and it's a big deal. And then, the FF go away. And again, not by anyone's, I don't want to get into like whatever behind the scenes shenanigans might have been, but like people were like less excited about the FF, and then suddenly, oh my God, the FF are back. And we were the lucky recipient of that energy, and it was a have your cake and eat it moment, because kind of people did dig that Totally Awesome Hulk book. People loved it. People liked it. It's got a lot of fans. It really boosted Amadeus up to like a new kind of status.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some big fans, but people were also hungry to see Bruce come back.
Yeah,
and now at that time, right after Banner died, there was Jerry did a story where the Hulk comes back as a zombie because like it's sitting right there. Of course, you're going to do that. And then Nick brought him back for Secret Empire because it was like, okay, no, I really want to have a Hulk rampage in this, so let's make that happen. And it's like, yeah, basically the Hulk had at that point been resurrected twice.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing Avengers No Surrender. And they want to bring the Hulk back again. And, I'm in the room. And like, I think this is one of the last times I was in the room. Because I kind of, I was like, I was Mr. Cancellation at that point. I was like, I had my own little kiss going.
Yeah.
I do these books that everybody loved, and then would last 12 issues. And it was like, yeah, that's how it goes. But like, so I was sort of, but the thing was going around, okay, we've resurrected the Hulk twice, we kind of want to bring him back again. And Tom was angling for like, I'd like that to be a beat in Avengers No Surrender. And because I was like one of the outgoing resident Avengers, I was, or rather US Avengers, I was kind of contributing to that. So I was one of like in the smaller writers room for Avengers No Surrender. We were having so much fun. We had so much fun on that book. It's unreal. Me and Jim and Mark were just like the Three Musketeers on that. We had such a banging time. But like, yeah, in the larger writers room, there was like a lot of how do we bring the Hulk back? And I feel like I made the suggestion of like, yeah, what if he just comes back? That would be really terrifying. If he just claws out of his grave and you don't know why. And it turns out it's something that he can do. He's like, and it's like, I have this habit, and that's not the first time I did that or the last, but I have this habit of kind of coming to the room and saying, what if we do nothing? And it's like pitching it as like this, like, and it's like, I know what I mean in my head, but it always comes out as, what if we do nothing? And it's like, so, I need to, I'm working on that. I'm finding better ways to put that. That's like,
what was the general consensus when you said that?
A sort of a shrug, a weird shrug, like, okay, moving on. Because it was like, I think like, I think it was basically agreed that like whatever we did to do it, whatever excuse we found, we would do that in the pages of No Surrender. It turned out to be the Challenger. But like, I was really pushing because I had this idea of like, what? It's a horror book. It's a horror book, and there's a certain level of like great minds because I think editorial was leaning that way as well. And I don't want to be like, oh, it was my idea all along because I don't know. But like, I was definitely kind of like thinking, oh man, we could make it a horror thing. And I was really pushing that. And in the room, I was pushing it to be like, oh, let's have like 4 issues on the drop where like he's coming out of the grave, and we play it like it's horror. And we do it like the kind of doomsday and Superman beat where it's like doom, doom, doom. And we're kind of like, and we slowly build it up. And then, when he comes out, originally I was like, I said, okay, we come back, his flesh is white as a bone, and he's got these red eyes, and he's kind of like, and Tom was like, no, he's got to be green. Hulk's got to be green. And it's like, Tom was right. Tom was 100% right because, we were bringing back Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Hulk's got to be green. Tom, the thing about Tom Brevoort is that he is very rarely wrong. And if he is, you can argue. If he is, you can argue it. And it's like, and you will, you can send him a thing or like say a thing where it's just like, okay, here's my thing. Here's why I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And if it makes sense, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
But like his instincts are just so honed at this point. Mm-hmm. He's an amazing editor. Working with him, like especially in those early days, was just like a masterclass.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was right. The Hulk needed to be green to sell that number one. But what we did do is we did this thing of like, oh yeah, and he doesn't talk. And then we did this thing where we kind of got to like, I think it was issue part 11 or whatever, because it was like 9 to 12 was like the Hulk Rampage. That was the Hulk Rampage chapter. And I think it was issue 11 of like, oh my God, let's have him speak. And he just says one word, but it's a proper word. And then it's just like, oh my God, he can talk. And then he goes off on Wonder Man. And it's like, but even that, I was like, what's the scariest thing? What's the scariest thing? And it's like, he doesn't talk. And then he starts talking, and it's so fucking erudite.
Yeah.
And it's not in like the, I do stuff with extremists, so I will commit violence to the best of my faculties. It's like, no, he's just like, no, he's still talking like the Hulk, but he's just, every sentence just fucking hits like a bomb. And it's just like, no. And he's fucking punching Simon Williams, and he's also like taking apart his worldview, and he's just doing, it's really easy for you to be a pacifist because you're invulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for you. So, you're just taking the easy route here, and you're making like it's a big thing, but it's not. You're just off, one more Hollywood asshole. And it's like, oh, you're a snob. And it's like, to be honest, it's one of those things where you don't agree with, because I think Simon Williams is one of my favorite characters because of the pacifism thing. Because it's like, I really love writing him, because I really love writing the bit where he's like, okay, I'm not going to hit you. How else can I use my powers?
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like, okay, I'm going to keep you from the vault because I can take any punch and I can stop you moving a step further, but I'm not going to throw a single blow. But also, that is an easy stance to take if you are at no risk. So I was kind of coming up with a viewpoint for the Hulk that was like, okay, how would I argue against Simon Williams? How would I argue against him? How would I argue against him? And it's like, it's easy to take, like, when you have that level of privilege, when you literally cannot be hurt, it's kind of easy to make. And then sort of projecting that thing of like, oh yeah, and you want everyone to love you for it. That's a very Hulk thing. That's a very kind of, Hulk is a really cynical bastard. So we did this, and it was like, it was almost kind of a pitch before the pitch. And I was saying to Tom, look, if there's going to be a Hulk book, I would like to write it. Let me just lay that in front of you. So I get this email that's basically like, okay, we're going to do what they call in the business bake off, which is like, we would like you to pitch for the Hulk. Be very aware you are not the only one. There are other people. There is competition for this book.
Do you know who that competition was?
Yes. Well, I know one. But I probably shouldn't say.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like it's that person's story to tell.
Yeah, gotcha.
I feel like it's a good story.
Okay.
So I don't want to kind of take it away from them. I kind of feel like, you know, because I've told the story about like pitches a lot, where like, you know, I did my pitch and Tom comes back with like, okay, I think it's a little bit samey, but the tone, because I started off with like, here's the tone of the book, it's horrible. Here's what we're doing, and we're gonna do this thing where it's, you know, we're gonna bring back the he only comes out at night stuff. We're gonna make it quite small time at first, small towns at first. We're gonna ramp it up into this very cosmic level Satan stuff. Originally, it was going to be the Beast from Electra. But I found out people had plans for that, so I was like, okay, God, we need a new cosmic Satan. Oh, there's one above all. What about one below? So that became the thing. But you know, there was like, but it kind of led to this place that I think the leader was in it, and he had a very different role. He was like almost the supporting character. And Tom was like, this, you start off in a good place, but then you get to a place that feels quite safe. But the tone is so good that I'm going to ask you for a second pass.
Yeah.
And so I give a second pass, and I go wild. I blow the doors, and that is the one where I pitch. Okay, we're going to send the Hulk to hell, and like super hell, you know, the hell below hells. We're going to kind of we're going to get into like we're going to get deep into the whole one below thing. And like, yeah, that was the one that made it. And then I kind of having done that, we were able to put into No Surrender a sort of little 10-page preview, which was basically selling the Green Door and selling the whole kind of okay, Bruce, Hulk does not die. Hulk can't die. Because that was what the whole thing was built on. Was that thing of like, what if the Hulk just can't die? And I'd already written a bunch of captions like No Surrender of like, oh, what if the Hulk just can't die? But we could have still done a thing where it was challenging. Like, it was like, okay, I brought you back from the dead. With that, we kind of set out our stall of like, no, he's just, anytime you kill him, he comes back. And yeah, and that was kind of how the whole thing came to be. But the email I got from Tom to like pitch, one of the things with that was like, we want to do a kind of Alan Nussbaum thing. We want to do a sort of, not so much in everything you know is wrong, although I guess we did do that, but like a kind of, the tone is shifting, and you know, we would like your number one to be a kind of almost like the anatomy lesson, you know, a kind of like here's the new tone, here's the new kind of, and yeah, and you know, we did the number one, which was very much our intro to like, okay, this is the Hulk, this is what he is now, and it was like just a kind of, and one of the advantages of doing like the resurrection in No Surrender was that we don't need to tell that story.
Yeah.
We just start with like, this is the Hulk. It's Bruce Banner. He's a drifter. He's like, and at night he becomes this other guy, and also he can't die.
When you originally pitched it, did you have an idea for how long you wanted to tell, or how long you needed in order to tell this whole story that you had in your head?
Originally, I was thinking like, okay, this is going to be a decent quality Hulk book. How long does a Hulk book last if people don't like it? 18 issues.
Mhm.
Oh no, it wasn't even that. I was pitching for like 15 issues. Yeah, how long does a Hulk book last if people don't like it? Well, okay, no, it was like, what's the absolute worst case scenario? 5 issues. And you know, by issue 1 we'll know. So I had like a kind of, if I just, you know, I'd have done like 5 one-offs because I did 3 one-offs. That was my other thing. I did like 3 number ones.
Yeah.
Every one of those first 3 issues functions as a first issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have just done like, I'd have done a Moonlight on it. I'd have done like, you know, 6 number ones and walked away. If I hadn't sold. I assumed we were going to get 15 issues. Tom was going like, you'll get at least 15.
Do they usually tell you that up front?
No, but Tom was like, you're not going in. It's a Hulk book, you're not going in.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, well, split the difference between that and my absolute worst case scenario. I took that to mean 15. It didn't give me an actual number. But like, so it could have ended with Hulk in Hell.
Yeah.
We'd have done a slightly longer Hulk in Hell, and you know, it would have been like a confrontation with his dad and the one below all, and he'd just walked away. And we'd have probably done what we. And now I'm going to stop myself.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have probably done a thing that I've been thinking about since I came up with the one below all, and definitely since writing that first issue of the Hell arc. And I'm not going to say a single other word about it because you will find out.
That's beautiful. I can't wait.
But
man.
like, but yeah, we could have ended at issue 15 with a sort of, you know, and then we kind of came out, and it's like, okay, well, let's get into a longer story, because a lot of this is driven by like what Joe wanted to draw.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to draw the Abomination, he wanted to draw the leader, he wanted to draw the ethos. So, you know, okay, that's the map. But I wanted to do a whole bunch of my shit. And I was like, okay, I mean, the next thing was like, basically, once we knew we had until 25, because it was doing well, it was doing nice. We knew we had to 25, and I was like, oh, okay, let's do this story where we go to the next cosmos and we see what the Hulks look like, and he's turned into a Galactus. And I send this email to Will, and thank God I did, and thank God there's a date on it, because about a month later, some guy on Twitter sent me a frigging tweet that was like, "Can I turn into Galactus?" And my God, if I'd been stewing on that idea and I got that tweet, it couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But I had that email, and it's got a date on it. Mm-hmm. And if push comes to shove, I can show that to a lot. And it's like, I can show that to the Marvel Lux. And it's like, my God, never, ever, ever, ever send anyone any ideas on Twitter.
Yeah.
You could have, if you're listening to this and you send that tweet, I want you to know you could have killed Immortal Hulk 25 in the crib. You could have killed it.
I'm glad they didn't, man.
I could not, if I hadn't come up with that idea first and proven it, you know, by basically sending Will an email going like, Will, oh my God, I thought of something. Which is, you know, my standard practice.
Yeah.
When I think of stuff. Although, I mean, I don't know, these days I sort of sit on stuff a bit more, and I've got to get back in. I mean, now we've got, on the X office, we've got the Slack. Mm-hmm. But like, I need to get back into the habit of sending emails to like editors going, I've thought of an idea. Because like, you know, I'm off Twitter now, but like I'm still there because I don't want anyone else to have that handle and start, you know, tweet stuff. Whatever.
If your book would have ended at 15, excuse me, if your book would have originally ended at 15, would you have felt like you said everything you wanted to say at 15? Obviously, times have changed, and as you get older and
I
as you
mean,
know that character longer, something's going to
I'd
change.
have felt like I could have done more.
Yeah.
Because clearly I could have done more. But like, I think at 50, I really have said everything.
Okay.
I mean, I've kind of I mean, we were talking about this. Me, Will was like, you could go to 54, and I was like, no, I want to do it as a round number, and also, I think 50 is going to be a big one, and yeah, 50 is going to be 80 pages long. So like, I'm doing. I mean, 50 is kind of like we're using that space,
Mhm.
and we're kind of using it very it's an object to have in ways that I think are gonna be a surprise for people,
Mhm.
like a good surprise. But it's like I wanted to do a thing that was self-contained, so it starts with it's got its own self-contained through line, and it's almost an OGN, and it starts with like Hulk and Jackie walking into hell, and then we go through, and there's some other stuff. There's some plot threads that are like unique to that issue, which are so it functions as a sort of graphic novel.
Mhm.
It obviously it comes out of. I mean, if we'd made it 100 pages, I guess we'd have done we'd have put the going through the Forever Gate scene there. We'd have done the Fantastic Four stuff as a more normal comic.
Now, I told you I wouldn't ask you any spoilers, and I won't. But
Okay.
with this issue, it's going to seem like I'm asking you a spoiler, so I'm trying to phrase it correctly.
I will not give a spoiler. So
Beautiful.
Ask away.
With this issue, have you said everything you've wanted to say, not just with the Immortal Hulk, but with Hulk in general? Do you think you've said everything? Obviously, like I said, you'll change. Maybe you'll have a thought 5 years down the road and you want to revisit Hulk again. But at this point in time in your career, where you're sitting at now, do you think you've said everything you've wanted to say?
I mean, you're right about the 5 years, 10 years thing. But like speaking of 10 years down the road, I've only just now regained the desire to write like you again. With these things where you put a lot into it, a lot of yourself into it, there are characters that like put so much into that like you can't come back to them because it hurts.
Yeah.
And it's like I thought Loki was one of those. I think I've probably got a Loki story in me, but I think it's probably it'll wait for its moment.
Yeah.
But I've only just regained that thing where it's like, oh, I think I could write. If they asked me to, I think I could write. With Hulk, it's like I'm walking away. It's I've said it. It's like it's done. There's not a single Hulk story left in me because after this issue 50, it'd be like the road going down on the other side of the hill. I would rather end on a crescendo. I'd rather end on like the ultimate Hulk story that I have to tell, and that's what this is. And I'm not hyping; it's just the fact. It's like this is, and this is I was talking about like 25 and like and in the run up to 25, like laying those seeds are kind of, and there's stuff that came out of like Hell Arc, there's stuff that came out in like the lead up to 25, there's stuff that came out of writing 25 itself. But basically it was like, and I knew coming out of that I wanted to do Hulk Against the World. And I wanted to like explore kind of Hulk as part of the counterculture. Yeah, that I don't know. That was like I think that holds up. But like I'd have I'd have liked if we could have thoroughly destroyed Roxon. I think Roxon bounced back very, very fast from having the CEO turned into a blob. Yeah, it's I enjoyed the Hulk against the world. And the Hulk against culture. The Hulk is the counterculture. That was a lot of fun. But the thing is, even then, I was like, okay, this is a kind of a stop across the road because we need to go through this territory to get to here.
Mm-hmm.
And like we need to kind of, it's like because it's Hulk against the world, and Hulk sort of beats, Hulk beats his enemy, but Hulk can't beat the world, and like, and more importantly, Hulk can't beat the leader, and that leads into like the weakest one of all, the which is what we're calling the ninth trade, and that was always the name for like that sequence of like what is the Hulk when you take away his strength? What is the Hulk when you take everything from him? Mm-hmm. When you take away Bruce Banner, where you take away the strength of the Hulk, where you take every single part of the Hulk. What is the Hulk?
You take the anchor away.
Yeah, this is it. He's just defeated, and he's like, and but there's something in him that kind of the one thing he has left, the one thing that is the fuck you. The fuck you of him is like the one thing left at the end, and that's what he comes back with. That's what he builds from. And he kind of comes back as this more sort of, and this is Joe Fixer. It's like there's obviously the Hulk is a multitude. You can write whatever Hulk you want, but like Joe Fixer, at least there was an opportunity with that character once we brought him back to kind of have him grow up, which I really love. I love the whole Sunshine Joe thing. Anyway, sorry, I'm going all over the place.
Oh no, you're
fine.
The
thing is, there is a moment to get back to issue 50. There's a moment in issue 50. There is a moment there that is like I have literally been planning that for years. I've been kind of building to it for years. It's my ultimate statement on the Hulk. It's the ultimate fight the Hulk has. It's the ultimate like
love letter to the Hulk.
It's what is the Hulk for?
Yeah.
And it's like it's what is the Hulk for and what must the Hulk become? And it's like it's my last statement on the Hulk is issue 50. And then I'm walking away and the seeds are there if people want to plant it. It's there if people want to use it, if there's people don't. But like there's a moment which is I feel like the people who are on board with what I've been doing are kind of they're really gonna like it. I feel like the people who are I wish the Hulk would hit more things. I apologize to you now. But my good friend Donny Cates is about to write a Hulk one.
Yeah. I like what you're doing with the Hulk. I like your story. I don't like seeing, like I told you earlier, I wasn't 100% honest when I said I didn't like the Hulk because there is one Hulk I really, really enjoy. And yeah. I'm hoping, because you did the one shot for She-Hulk, correct?
Yeah.
So 1 second, I got it. Actually, I don't know where it's at, but it's usually over here. I don't know if you can see over. Oh, it's right here.
I'm seeing a big bear.
Yeah. So, my favorite Marvel character of all time has always been She-Hulk, right?
Now that Dan Slott run, I read that as it came out, and that was a ton of fun.
I don't know what it is that I don't like the Hulk, but I love Jen. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just she was different or she got a control of that Hulk to an extent, but you said you were done with Hulk. Would you ever And the only reason I bring this up is because I talked to Charles Soule a couple years ago when he came to MegaCon. And I was like, man, I loved your run on She-Hulk. It's like 12 issues, 13 issues, whatever it was. And I was like, would you please come back to this? And he's like, well, here's the thing with She-Hulk. She-Hulk is for people that are at the beginning of their career or at the end of their career. And I didn't understand that until he explained it in depth. And he was like, it's one of those books that comes and goes. There's a small fan base there. Well, there's a fan base there. It's very small. It's very intimate.
Yeah.
But you catch it either on the rise or on the decline. And that's one character, I think, as well as there's hundreds of characters, I'm sure, that doesn't get the attention or the love that she deserves. When you say you're done with the Hulk, are you done with the Bruce Banner Hulk? Would you ever come back and do a She-Hulk run?
I like She-Hulk. I think to do her justice, you need to
put Al Ewing on the book.
No, you need to get right into the legal side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I fell off that like a stone when she stopped being alive. I feel like you kind of need to get into the legal side. So that might be a hurdle for me, because that would involve a lot of kind of I mean, I could do the research. There's nothing stopping me doing research. But like, yeah, so it'd have to be quite a legal thing. I wouldn't want to go back to. I definitely don't want to. I wouldn't want to go back to like the Green Door of it all. It might be that all Hulks are now kind of slightly poison ground for me.
Yeah,
because if I ever come near Gamma again, people are going to be like, oh, what about Green Door? What about all of this stuff? Are you going to, what about this? It's like, so I kind of feel like I'm almost a little bit radioactive for the character. That said, I do like She-Hulk a lot. Sorry, if that whirring noise, I've got to finish my birthday to stop me like picking my fingers.
Oh, you're fine.
It's I mean, with She-Hulk, having brought her in for that one shot,
mm-hmm.
which was originally just going to be the thing was, okay, Hulk's doing his own thing, and originally I just said to everybody, I really love it if Hulk could be kind of off on his own and not be on any teams right now, and not like do much guest starring. And as he guest starred in places, we kind of took the opportunity to have like one shots, explaining that. I think Carnage was the first. Absolute Carnage? Absolute Carnage was the first one to kind of make a use of him. And we sort of, okay, well, we better do a one shot saying how that happened. Mm-hmm. No, I tell a lie. The first one was that Defenders thing. Tom wanted him on the Defenders for that kind of weird writing project. Which was a lot of fun, and we had a good time with it. And we did a sort of non-team of writers for the non-team of Defenders. Yeah. But that did kind of get us into agreement. Like, okay, well, anytime we have to tie into something, here's what that looks like. We do a one shot, and we make it a little strange and special and in our tone of voice. And then, but it ties in plot-wise. It ties into what we're tying into. So it's kind of an advert for both. Immortal Hulk readers will like see, okay, so this is happening. And people who are like picking up, oh, wow, this reads interesting. I guess this is what they're doing over in Immortal Hulk. So it was kind of an advert in both directions. But for the She-Hulk one, I just wanted to sort of explain She-Hulk's kind of connection to the Green Door a little bit. And like, and also sort of tease some stuff we were doing with the leader. But like, and also get back into her origin, because like Bruce in her origin acts really un-Bruce-like.
Yeah.
She like gets shot in front of him, and he's like, punching out windows and breaking into houses and there's something like, you gotta make it, kid. It's like, that's not Bruce. That's not Bruce in there. No. That's somebody else. And it's Joe. That's Joe Fixit. Wow. Okay. And because I read that already, so I was like, oh my God, Jesus. When does Bruce Banner say you're gonna make a kid? That's like a Hollywood gangster talk.
It's funny you bring that up because up until then I never really thought about it. Up until I read, and as we're starting to wind down here, and we won't be able to get to everything you've done.
Man, yeah, sorry, I've just been rambling.
No, dude,
sorry, I've taken up all the time.
Oh no, man, this is perfect, dude, because this is why I named my podcast What's in My Head podcast, and the fans are really starting to come around to it because, like I said, it's an animation, it's a comics, it's a pop culture. And I'm a huge sports fan too, so it's generally whatever's bouncing around in the fucking in my head, and I'll sit here and we'll just talk. And when I first started, most people would get upset. They're like, ask him or her questions about this, and that. I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. If you want to run a podcast, you go and start one. I'm doing it my way because you can go on any fucking channel on YouTube or any page on YouTube and just type in Al Ewing interview, and any question that anybody's ever answered, you can go and find it. But I want to see what makes Al tick. I want to see how you get into your writing. I like this stuff.
This is pretty much how I do any podcast. Is I'll sit down and I'll just like ramble a lot. But like you are getting the fresh stuff. This is like the new. I mean, all that whole stuff. You're the first to get that. It's there's no spoilers in it or anything, but it's like, it's. So but it's. Sorry, you were about to ask a question.
Oh no! It's fine. Like you don't have to apologize for rambling. I like that. That's all I was saying. Is I enjoy it when you have conversations with people. It's so monotonous. It's so boring when you just sit here and be like, okay, well, why'd you write the Hulk? Oh, you wrote the Hulk this way. Why'd you write the Defenders? Oh, you wrote it that way. It's fucking stale, and I just don't like that.
I mean, I do prefer the conversation one when I listen to podcasts. Kieran did a great one called Decompressed, which I highly recommend. Which is he just calls people up, and he had Hickman on it once. That was just like a masterclass. But like,
so Decompressed.
Yeah, it's basically him talking to like everyone he knows, basically, which is like a lot of comics people, and basically just asking, and I've been on it a couple of times at a couple of different stages, but there's a couple that I like. I still listen to occasionally. Like there's one with Mark Wade, and it's one with Jonathan. And I think he just got too busy for it in the end. But it's like what's there is still there, and it's all good stuff.
Yeah, 100%, man. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just gonna say, having sort of done that one with the She-Hulk, we kind of had to bring her into the main series because it was like, okay, oh man, we can't leave Jen out of the final, So we gave her a little bit in the last. I mean, we already knew we were going to do like one last, like the Hulk versus the World, the Hulk kind of, and in the Hulk versus the World, the Hulk has to lose.
Yeah.
But it's like that's kind of preparing him. It becomes like a kind of an ordeal, a trial he has to go through to reach the final point. But anyway, sorry, you were going to say.
Oh no, it's perfectly fine, man. Like I said, I would love, if you're up for it, I would love to have you back on closer to when Venom drops, or maybe after Venom drops, so we can actually talk about that first issue, and we can give an entire episode just to Venom. I'm really enjoying Guardians.
That's fun.
I got it right here, and Star-Lord, and I hate to say it, but Star-Lord was my guy, and I didn't really read Guardians, didn't really know too much about it until after the movie, like most people, right?
Yeah.
Because DC was me. I was DC. I would read Daredevil, or not Daredevil, excuse me. I read Marvel for Daredevil and She-Hulk and Luke Cage and the smaller characters at that time.
Sure.
But when Guardians came out, I was like, holy shit, this is great. Chris Pratt is phenomenal. I love Star-Lord. I just loved that character. And then like once that movie came out and I started seeing all of these books come out, I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. This is awesome shit. And I start reading yours and I'm like, holy fuck, dude, this is amazing. So I would love to do an entire episode. And the Defenders is great too. I really enjoyed the Defenders first issue, man.
That's people have responded to that really well, and I'm really happy about that because I love working with Javier. He's one of my favorite people. We sat down for a drink once in Spain and we just vibed. And that's a great convention, by the way. That's Avides. I think I pronounced that right. But like they do a convention, and I feel like they invited me over, and it's like I had so much work to do. But it's like, so I didn't fully get into the spirit of it. But like you basically just hang out, and you drink in cafes, and it's like you do a couple of panels, and the convention is just all over, and it's like it's all outside, and you know they take you places, and you get to chat with people. But it's such a wonderful convention. There's such wonderful people, and I haven't with COVID. I've been disavowing any international travel until like 2022.
Yeah.
But now I'm vexed up. I'm messed up where it's like more and more people are getting the shot. I feel like 2022 is when I can kind of return to traveling. And like that's definitely one of the places, because I do want to go back and eat the good ham and drink the good beer.
Beer and ham is delicious.
See all of my Spanish friends again. But Javier is a wonderful, amazing talent. On Royals, he just blew the roof off, and it was such a shame we could only get him for like those 3 issues. But like on this, he's just been wonderful, and we've ended up evolving this thing where like, because the first issue was kind of written Marvel style, but in a very like, I was like laying it out, you know. I was almost doing panels, but without just taking off the word, you know, panel 1, panel 2. I was like laying out beats, and like, I think this panel was about 5 beats, and he was like, you gotta, you know, and you know, he's just, and this evolved from our style of roles, because like I do occasionally just lay it out completely differently, but it would be fantastic. And I was like, this is better than anything I could have possibly considered. And then I just like rewrite the dialogue from the plot, which I do anyway for any artist. That's just like before it gets to the letter, I really try and minimize any changes after it gets to the letter, because that's a failure. You've wasted the letter's time. But like before it gets to the letter, fair game. Like anything, you know, I will rewrite the whole thing if it fits the art. You know, obviously I try to keep it the same. And I'll take the opportunity to like polish up the knowledge. So I feel like, but with Javier, you know, I've got to do that. I've got to like make sure, and then we'll sort of talk about balloon placement and stuff. And he always delivers these wonderful layouts with like the dialogue as it is in the plot. Except now we started doing a thing where issue 1 was, you know, it was a loose plot. Issue 2 was even looser, but it was still that kind of Marvel style, you know, okay, here are the beats on each paragraph by paragraph. Issue 3 was like, for the back half of that, it was like, because we got interrupted by COVID. And so we did that one in 2 halves. And for the back half, it was like, can you just send me a map of what happens?
Yeah.
Because we're really getting into some kind of like, can you just send me like a really basic pricing? Because we're getting into some stuff with that one that is really, really psychedelic. And then in 4, I was like, and then he was like, can we just do this thing where you just send me the map of the issue, and like, for like, you know, every couple of pages, just like, here's the plot as I see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I just draw this. And so we did a thing with 4 where I sort of sent that, and he was like, okay, so I need a little bit more than we're finding each other's balance. It's not like a thing
Yeah.
where I'm writing like pages 12 to 18, they fight. It's not like it's not that level of old school, but it's like we're kind of finding a balance of like of what he's comfortable with, because it's like my instinct is to this is against my instincts, because it's like my instinct is like give an artist everything they may possibly and like lay stuff out, and like occasionally, and I try not to do this, but occasionally like take camera angles, and like specify when I need a close up and all of this stuff. Just give the artist a lot of stuff, but also the freedom to like, no, play this scene out your own way if you want. But with Javier, it's like I have so much trust in him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the level of trust I have in him is just he's such a wonderful artist, and it always pays off, always, without fail. He's never given me a page that wasn't like 150% what I thought it was going to be. So for this, for issue 4, which gets really crazy, just absolutely insane, solicits have now come out, and it's like, God, don't even try to guess what's in this issue. I basically sent him like, this is what happens in the issue, and here's what you need, and here's like references, and here's my thinking on. Sorry, my mic fell out of my. Here's my thinking on this, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna need a little bit more on this area. And I was like, okay, here's a bunch, and what I've got back from it in the layouts is just like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Wow. And now we're about to do issue 5, which is going to be a whole other kettle of fish. So I'm going to write another map, and we're going to have another back and forth about it, and then so this is a new way of working, but it's really working, and it's really the comics. It's gonna, if you liked issue 1, it's one of the best looking issues that has ever come out of something I've written, and obviously all credit for that goes to Javier. There's a reason why we're credited as storytellers.
Yeah,
he's not just the artist. He does so much more. But like, if you liked issue 1, that was us like cranking the edge.
Yeah.
Issue 2, we're really starting to feel it out. That issue 2 blows the doors of issue 1. Issue 2 makes issue 1 look like a stroll in the park. It's just, my God. And then issue 3, issue 4. I haven't written dialogue for issue 3 yet. I mean, there's dialogue in the plot, but I've got to go back over it. But that's going to be, that's a day's work. So that's most of the rest of today and tomorrow. Because it's like painting a Rolls Royce. You've got to like it's putting the final coat on a Ferrari. This is the level. So if you like Defenders, it gets even better.
I can't wait.
Is the takeaway from that. And people behind closed doors have been saying some very complimentary things about it, like to the extent that it's like, I don't know, there are people at Marvel who would really, really, really like me to work with Javier some more. I would really like to work with Javier some more. What that project looks like, we're still working out. If Javier's into it. Is this are the visuals? Do the visuals go on the podcast, or is it just audio?
Yeah, it'll be videos. We're trying to get the audio. We just had wife and I just had a baby. Well, wife had the baby. I was just there helping last month. So it's been hectic as hell trying to get his schedule, get my schedule back to work, make sure she's okay and everything like that. So eventually everything will go audio and video. Almost all of my interviews are up on YouTube now. I release them weekly. And like I said, this one is going to come out the same day Hulk 50 comes out, or Immortal Hulk 50.
Oh, cool.
So like I said, I really appreciate you
taking. So I won't be spoiling anything. That's good.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. I mean, I'm just you holding up that copy of She-Hulk just now. I wondered if that was just going to be a slight gag, or if we'd have to explain it on the audio. I mean, visually, you're seeing my couch, my curtains, and like, my COVID looks. So, at some point, I will return to a hairdresser, but I didn't go to the hairdresser before COVID. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna start now.
Yeah,
but at some point, I'm going to at least shave.
No, don't even. I just did that because I have to look. I work in the kitchen, so if I let it get shaggy, I got.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right. So, but like I said, man, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it's been
come
fun.
back on maybe next month or something like that if you got the free time, or maybe some.
Yeah, time. I mean, at some point in the future. I mean, for airtime, free time is like a luxury.
Oh, it is
at the moment. With I guess by the time this comes out, with Hulk ending, that's a big, and that is I'm very, very close to like doing my very last bit of work on that. There'll come a point where I've sort of checked over the last issue, and it's out the door and into the printer. And we're very, very nearly, I've got a few more little tests to do on that final issue, and then it's done, and then it's over, and that's it for Immortal Hulk. And it is a very bittersweet experience because, I'm seeing people like, I'm seeing people get so excited for Donnie's thing. And it's like, that's going to be a lot of fun. And I think, people are going to, once I'm done with you, you're going to need a lot of fun in your Hulk. I'm sorry to tell you this, but like, when I'm finished with you, you're going to be ready for a lot of fun in your Hulk. But that does look like a lot of fun. It's the swing of the pendulum that is needed right now, I think. But also there's that bittersweet thing of like, oh, it's over. And this is kind of, I'm ending it on my terms, but it's still an ending.
Yeah.
And that is, that is a little tough. It is bittersweet, and but it does mean that I've got a big space now, and I can kind of think about what goes into it next. And I've got some creative own thoughts on that in that area. I've got a big project. I'm at the stage where I'm sort of laying out the cards on the on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And kind of I wonder, but it's going to be a creator owned thing, so it's going to be very kind of it's going to be very much what I want to do. So, and it's going to play with format a little bit, but that's all the taste of it I'll give right now, because it's I've not even talked about this about it. It really is. I need to kind of. I'm thinking of buying a new sort of digital tablet thing so I can do design work for it. It's like at the stage where it's at. So,
man, I'm really looking forward to what you're working on, what's coming next. And like I said, I cannot wait for Immortal Hulk.
That's long term.
Yeah. Man, like I said, I've had a lot of fun with this chat. Like I said.
Yeah. No, it's been good coming on. And
love that.
In a month, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, we'll come back.
Yeah. You tell me, man. I'm here whenever you're here, man.
Okay, cool.
He's been out. Well, Al, hold on. Before we go, do you have anything you want to tell to the fans real quick? I always throw that up there.
Just to thank you for supporting my work, especially if you pay for it with real money. I know there are a lot of people in a lot of situations and it's not always possible. It does help a lot if you can buy the stuff.
Mhm.
That it's super helpful if you're in a position financially or geographically where you can do that. Please do.
Yes.
But thanks for reading. Whatever, and thanks for being supportive. People have been very, very supportive of me lately. And I mentioned this. I don't like. I'm not always dropping it, but yeah, I came out recently, and people were really supportive of that, and thank you for that.
As they should be.
And thank you for being there for me, and thank you for being there for me as a writer as well, because that does make a big difference, and it's been really nice. What's been really nice always is when I hear that people I wrote something and people took something from it and it helped them in any way. And that is kind of the highlight any day that it happens. So if that's you, then thank you. And I'm really happy that I was able to help even in the smallest way at all. So I guess there's that. Wow, God damn it. These are new headphones.
Oh,
They
no
keep
worries.
tumbling out of my ear. This is why I don't get those pods.
Yeah.
Because I would lose one so quickly. God, I hate that headphones don't have wires anymore. And I hate that they all have different jacks on them. So you can't plug them into your phone. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, yeah, tech problems. It's how we start. So yeah, I guess there's that. In terms of like where people can find me, I'm on Tumblr, pointedly not talking about work. That's it. That's everywhere. And yeah, in terms of work, yeah, Defenders, pick up Defenders, you won't be disappointed. Hulk 50, it's a good jumping on point. My last issue, it'll function hopefully as an OGN. Yeah, there's keep your eye on X. Keep watching that X because there's new stuff coming that way that you're going to hear about. There's obviously people are hearing about Inferno and what that means for the X office. You have not heard the last of that story. There are more announcements to come, some of which involve me. So yeah, keep an eye on the X office, and in the meantime, lots of fun stuff happening in Sword, especially if you're a Storm fan. And obviously, we only fund them when they're dead. From Boom, that's taking another brief scheduled break after issue 10. And then we're coming back with issue 11, and it's getting even bigger, even more cosmic. Simone De Mayo, one of the greatest artists in the game, is going to be pushing even more into it. Yeah, and then that's the third and the last book, and we're going to end with a big bang on that. So if you're reading We Only Find Them, please
keep reading.
Yeah, please do that. That would be nice. But if you'd like to read it as 3 trades on your shelf, or even 1 omnibus, these things, that's the eventual plan. It was always meant to be a modular experience. So you can do that as well. You can read in your local library. If you are one of the people, sorry, this is turning into an Oscar acceptance speech. I'm sorry. But one last thing, one final thing. If you are somebody who does not pay for my work, who reads it for free, and you don't do that through your local library, please consider your local library. Please consider your local library system. Libraries are always under threat. They're always in need of help. It's a great way to get to read my stuff for free. You can go to your library. You can get them to order my stuff. You'll be helping them out just by your patronage of them. You'll be helping me out because, like, uh, those numbers do get recorded of
Yes.
books that go to the libraries. And it's a really great way to read my stuff for free, and yeah, support your local libraries. And it's much better than going on one of these websites. You don't know what they do with that. So if it's nothing good. So if you are in that position, and obviously again, no judgments.
Yeah.
There are people in geographical situations, there are people in financial situations, whatever. But like, again, if you can, please support your local library system. Thank you for that.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that ended on a very preachy note, and I'm sorry.
No, man, it ended on the best note, man. He's been Al. I've been Julian. It's been What's in My Head podcast. Please buy this man's work and go check out Immortal Hulk, coming out soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun. Yeah, no, I'll come back.